How's everyone today? Feeling good? Okay. I just want to say quickly that last week's shiur was, when we put it up on YouTube, you'll see, was in honor of the Yurtzeit Likuei Nishmas Michael Beryl ben Shmuel Mordechai, Neshama Shadav and Aliyah. And tonight's shiur, welcome. Tonight's shiur, we're dedicating our learning to Brona Chava Freda Bas Chana, who is a person very close to us, who's close to pretty much everybody here, who's not doing so well and recently had to end up in the emergency room. And so, Be'ez Hashem, we hope to see nisim, miracles, and refuah shlema and good things. Amen. So, so just a couple of quick things, very announcement type, housekeeping sort of things. There's been a few requests that on our WhatsApp group that there maybe are a little too many posts, videos, pictures, this kind of thing. Some people would appreciate it if we can keep it a little bit more related to our shiur group. And I would like to maybe form another group that can be used for sharing all kinds of awesome stuff that people feel like sharing, other shiurim, other types of things. And so Be'ez Hashem, I'm going to do that. And if everybody doesn't mind to that, because you know how it gets nowadays. If you're on a few WhatsApp groups, they can just be going and going and going, and your whole life can be taken over by notifications. So if you don't mind. And that's it. So I'd like to make another quick announcement that we usually start off with this announcement. I just, some of the people who watch the shiur who are not in Toronto, they don't get to hear the questions in the middle. Doesn't always make sense. So if we can, once again, save questions to the end, unless they're like very critical to understanding what's going on at the moment. And then we can explain them, please. Okay, so I'm very, very happy to see everybody. And we're at the beginning of a new Torah, which is always very, very exciting. We're starting fresh from the beginning of Torah 8, Torah Ches, in the BRI English version. It's page 32. And beautiful, beautiful Torah. There's going to be a lot of very fundamental concepts in here, in Breslov, and in Yiddishkeit in general. So let's get right into it. The Torah starts. First of all, this Torah was given on Hanukkah in 1802. December 25th, 1802. And when Rabbeinu gave this lesson, there was a certain person in the city of Nemirov who was really, really causing a lot of problems with the Yidden over there, and really, berating them in a negative way. And when Rabbi Nachman gave this shiur in the spiritual realms, it brought about the downfall of this person who was causing so many problems with the Yidden in the city of Nemirov. And one of the things that he told them was that when they left this shiur, and people would ask, what did they take away from the shiur that he gave? They should answer ruach. Ruach. They got ruach. So this shiur, and certainly the beginning, is much to do with ruach. And we're going to see how it all fits together. Okay, here we go. Torah starts with a pasuk from the Haftorah of Shabbos Chanukah. Ra'isi v'hinei menorah zahav kula v'gula al reisha. So the Zechariah Hanavi says, and I looked and I saw a golden menorah with a bowl on top of it, like an oil bowl on top of it. It supplied oil to the parts of the menorah. That's the beginning pasuk. And as anybody who's been coming here for the last little while knows, this beginning pasuk, in the end, is going to come back, and we're going to understand a very, very deep level of what this pasuk means. But we're going to put it aside for now. Zok Rabbeinu in Ois Aleph. Hinei, Yakar Genuche V'noya Shekorin Krechtz Me'ish Yisraeli. A groan and a sigh, a groan, what we call in Yiddish, a Yiddisheh krechtz of a Jew, is very, very precious to the Ribono Shel Olam. Very precious. Kihu shlemus hachesroinus, because it represents the fulfilling of all lackings. Ki al yedei bechinas haneshima, because it's through breathing in, breath. Shehu haruach chayim, which is the ruach chayim. Let's translate that, the breath of life. Nivra ha'olam. That's how the world was created, with ruach chayim, with breath. Kamoisha kasuv, like the pasuk says in Tehillim, uberuach piv kol tzva'am, and the world was created with the whole tzva'am, means the legions of spiritual beings in the higher worlds were all created with the ruach piv of Hashem, the breath of His mouth. The pasuk says, "B'dvar Hashem shemayim nasu." The shemayim was created through the word of Hashem, uberuach piv kol tzva'am, and through the breath of His mouth, all of the spiritual forces, spiritual armies, whatever, the angels, all those things upstairs were created. So creation itself has an aspect of ruach piv, of ruach, of breath. You hear this? There's a lot that's going to come together here. And also, in the future, the renewal of the world is also going to be through the aspect of ruach. Meaning what? We know that there's all of existence follows a pattern of Shabbos, except in 1,000-year formats. In other words, just like we have 6 days of the week, and then the 7th day is Shabbos, so too, the existence of this world is represented by 6,000-year cycles. Where are we holding now? We're almost at the end of the 6,000th year, right? Because we're at 5780 right now, which is the 5,000s are already in the 6,000, because the first one begins with a 0, of course, right? So we're almost at the end of the 6,000, and then the 7,000th year cycle is going to be a Shabbos. It's going to be a year, a millennium of special spiritual existence. But then after that, there's going to be a renewal. There's going to be a totally new existence, which is what's Olam Haba. A lot of details involved over there, but for now, let's just leave it at that. Chidush ha'olam, that will also be through ruach, through breath, wind. K'moshe kasav, teshalach ruchacha yiba'erun usechadesh pnei ha'adama. So you will send forth your ruach, and they will be created. You will renew the face of the earth. Through your breath, you will make this renewal of the face of the earth. So ruach is a hard word to translate. You know, it means wind on the one sense. It means breath on another side. Ruach means, we use it to mean like, if there's ruach, there's spirit, right? Something's got spirit, right? But this is what it means. All these things are coming together to paint us a picture here. We see that all of creation has something to do with the ruach of Hashem, the ruach piv of Hashem, coming in and making creation happen. So let's see a little bit more. V'hu gamkein chiyus ha'adam, and it's also the life force, the chiyus, the enlivenment of a person. Ki chiyus ha'adam hu anashima, because the life of a person, the life force of a person, is through their breath. Right? Everybody is very painfully aware of this, that we have to be breathing. And if we're not breathing, right, we don't have life. In a physical sense, breath, the ruach that we bring into our lungs, is our life force. K'moshe kasav, like the pasuk says, Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim. So when Hashem created Adam Harishon, what did He do? If you remember, He took the mud from the ground and He fashioned a body somehow, and he breathed into it was the first ever recorded case of mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. He breathed into the mouth of Adam Harishon, vayipach ba'apav. He blew into his nose, actually, mouth-to-nose resuscitation. He breathed into his nose the spirit of life. He gave him vayipach nishmas chayim, the nishmas chayim. So of course we know that what's at the source, at the root of the word nishmas chayim, the soul of life? It's neshama, soul, right? Not coincidentally, the same word in Hebrew for breathing is neshima. Neshima and neshama are almost the exact same word. Why? Because this is the way that Hashem implanted the soul into us, was through ruach piv, through the ruach of his mouth. He implanted the soul into us. And that is what gave us our existence, our life. And an aspect of a deep spiritual existence, our neshama also. Right? Came from Hashem, came directly from Hashem's breath, his ruach. And so too, every time we breathe in our physical life force, but it's paralleled to this bigger picture of ruach that we're talking about. In other words, there is some fantastic, deep, cosmic ruach, cosmic breath. When I say cosmic, I mean Hashem. Cosmic breath that Hashem uses, breathes in and breathes out to make creation happen and to give life, to give spiritual life to the world. And just like Hashem does that, He breathes in and breathes out to create life in the world. So too, when we breathe in, we are connecting to that depth of cosmic breath and breathing it back out. It's a very, very deep connection in this realm. And we know, there's a famous idea that, I don't know why, but a lot of academics grab onto this when they're trying to teach Kabbalah. Has anyone ever read a book talking about the glass blower analogy to Kabbalah? Right? So it's not a big thing in Kabbalah at all, but it seems to be something that outside of Kabbalah people speak about a lot. But when Hashem created man, he took from his very depth. When you breathe something in, right? When you breathe in and then you breathe out. So you're breathing in from your very depth, from the center of yourself, from the very depth of your existence. So that which Hashem breathed into us at that time, breathed into Adam HaRishon, was from Hashem himself. It was the ki'ilu, like a part of himself. He blew into Adam HaRishon and gave him this soul. And as we know, we say, and it's brought down in a few places over here, what is another way that we express a deep level of our soul? What do we call it? A chelek elika mimal, a piece of Hashem. Our soul is literally a piece of Hashem, a piece of the infinity. So when he breathed in ki'ilu, in some way, if we can understand it, and then breathed that soul into Adam HaRishon, right? That was him breathing an aspect of himself into man to start existence. So this breath of Hashem, this Ruach Chaim, this source of life for everything in the world, is a very, very deep concept and really is Hashem giving life to everything and giving life from the very depths of himself to us. So it's a very deep concept, very, very deep concept. Ukasiv, and the pasuk said by the Mabul, by the flood, Kol asher nishmas ruach chaim ba'apav, everything that has nishmas ruach chaim, the soul of the ruach of life, of the breath of life in his nose, will be wiped out by the Mabul. And like Chazal say, im techsar haneshima, if we're lacking neshima, if we're lacking breath, we're lacking life. Techsar achayim, we have nothing left. So what are we talking about here? On a much deeper level, we're talking about like this. Rabbi Nachman started out by saying, what is very precious to Hashem? The Yiddisheh krechtz. Right? Who would have thought? Genuche v'noya. The Yiddisheh krechtz, when a Yid breathes in and goes, oh, when something difficult is happening, when someone is experiencing adversity, tragedy, maybe just a hard time with the kids or the husband, not the wife, right? Then the husband, then the person breathes in and has to. I see this, people do this. It's like built into nature. That when a person is dealing with something, what do? They right? They breathe in a deep breath and let out a sigh. So what Rabbi Nachman is telling us over here, and we're going to see it in much more depth as we go here, but it's not only like just a thing that people do, right? Our breath in is literally paralleling the way that creation happens and the way that Hashem puts himself into the world, the way that Hashem gives us life into the world. Because when do we make a krechtz? When do we make a sigh like this? Like he said already, when we have a chisaron, when something's missing, Something's lacking. Things aren't going the way they should, right? When this is happening to us, and we just feel like I'm missing something, I'm not shalem, I'm not complete, something is going wrong, something is missing, that is called a chisaron. That's called I'm lacking. And when I make this breath in, and I take in that ruach chaim, and I'm paralleling, I'm showing exactly what the Rebbeinu Shalom does during creation and how He gives life to us. My chelik elikami mal, my piece of Hashem is breathing in, and then I let out as a result of this a krechtz. Right? I'm filling myself up with ruach chaim. I'm filling up those places where I'm lacking. And that is why in nature we automatically do this, and people do this, because there's a whole deeper existence to this, to what's going on when we do this. So next time you see someone, a Jewish person who's experiencing some difficulty, and they're like frustrated, and they're like, right? Don't think, what's with this person? Can't they take it? Can't they? What's wrong with them? No. Think, this person is doing something very holy, whether they realize it or not. Let's keep going. We're going to see a deeper understanding of this, a much deeper understanding of this. I was thinking, by the way, I don't know if anyone, there's a specific Yiddish word for this. The krechtz. Everyone knows this word. This is a Yiddish word, right? We had to make a word for this, for this type of, and there's no better word, right? The English word sigh doesn't come even close to what you get when you say the word krechtz. Right? A krechtz. That's the real descriptor for it. So, yeah. Okay, let's keep going. We'll come back to some things. Nimtza comes out. Ki ikar chius kol hadavarim hu b'chinas ruach. The main life force of everything comes from ruach. We said through 3 psukim that all of creation took place with the ruach piv of Hashem, with the breath of the mouth of Hashem. So that means that everything in existence, its life force, comes from ruach. It's getting harder to translate this word ruach. It's a very deep idea. And when there's a lack in anything, when something has a lack to it, that means that what's lacking in that thing, the main lack, comes from a lack of chius. Chius means life force. It means spiritual energy that thing has. When there's something lacking, it means that it's also lacking ruach chaim. It's also lacking spiritual energy. And if it's lacking spiritual energy, it's going to come out the other end, and it's going to lack something in the revealed world also. Because this ruach chaim, this spiritual energy that we're bringing into ourselves from the Rebbeinu Shalom, from Hashem, is what gives us our life. It gives us our physical life, and it gives us our spiritual life also. And if we don't have it, we're in big trouble. V'ha'anacha hu arichas haneshima. And anacha, krechtz, sigh. What is it? It's lengthening your breath, lengthening the breathing in process. V'u'bechinas erech hapayim, which is also what we call, this term we use to describe Hashem as erech hapayim. So usually translated as slow to anger. But really, what does it mean, slow to anger? What does it, erech hapayim means? Erech comes from the word like arichus, being long, lengthened, and apayim means nose, breathing, long breathing. So what does that mean? Why? Because when if I make someone upset and someone's getting angry at me, no one in particular, right? They may look at me at that point and go, right? They're taking in that breath as opposed to just firing back with both barrels and getting really angry at me. No, they're going to lengthen their breath. Erech hapayim, slow to anger. Take a breath in, and that's erech hapayim. Dahainu, ma'arich ruchai, extending their breath. Valkein, keshemisaneach al chisarein. Therefore, when a person makes this krechtz because of a lack that they're feeling, umarich ruchei, and they extend their breath in this way, humamshich ruach chaim lachisarein. They're drawing in ruach chaim the breath of life, spiritual energy, into that thing that's lacking. Ki ikra chisaron hu histalkus ruach chaim, because the main chisaron, where does a lack come from in our lives? Something that's missing? Because the ruach chaim has been removed, has been taken out, has fled. We've chased it away. Right? And therefore, through this breathing in, this krechtz, this sighing, we're filling up that thing that was missing, that lack that we're experiencing. So once again, just I want to drill this down. This aspect of breathing in and lengthening our breath, ruach, erech apayim, right? Arichas haruach, right? Is not just some physical act that we happen to do, right? Just like everything, let's talk Kabbalah for a second. Everything in existence, right, has a mirror, a root in the upper spiritual realms. Everything. So, just like we have our bodies, and our bodies have certain parts to them. They're given Kabbalistic designations, right? So we know that in our head, maybe above our head, we have Keser, crown, Chochmah and Bina, these two types of intellect in our head, in our Seichel. And then we have Chesed, Gevura, and Tiferes. We have these other emotive powers. And then we have the 6 lower spheres, which are, that's part of it. Then we have the what's called Netzach, Hod, and Yesod, and Malchus, our revealed existence in the world, right? And our whole body corresponds to these things. Why does it correspond to these things? Are we just trying to understand what's going up there by putting a map onto our bodies that we're so familiar with? Is that what's happening? Absolutely not. What's happening is we are built like this because we correspond to the upper worlds. We correspond to these existences because we correspond to the way we can understand Hashem. Meaning what? Hashem created us b'tzelem Elokim, in the form of God. Right? That means that we have to be this way. In other words, we have Chochmah and Bina in our heads because that's the way the upper worlds exist. That's what happens up there. So when we are using our existence and our intellectual and our emotional and our physical faculties in the right way, we're not just doing the right thing in the physical realm. We are moving the upper spheres. We are connecting to the upper existences of spirituality. We are causing things to happen up there that are then going to shower down onto us. So in other words, my breathing in, and the fact that it has to be like this, the fact that our bodies are designed, that when we get into these situations, we do this and we krechtz. It's built into nature. It's because when we do it in this way and in the right way, we are connecting to a very, very deep fund of spiritual energy. Right? So, do you think that you have to have, in other words, you have someone who knows nothing about this concept whatsoever, and who's experiencing difficulty in their lives, and they face a challenge and they do this very same thing. Right? Are they connecting to this power? Right? Subconsciously? Sure they are. It's built into existence. However, this is where we get to start really changing our lives and changing our perspective and becoming different people. Is now what's going to happen after we learn this is when we find ourselves in such a situation, or even not, we're going to do the same thing, but now we're going to have kavanah for this. We're going to have an intention that with this inhale and krechtz that I'm making, I'm now making this an avodas Hashem. I'm now connecting to Hashem on a very deep level. Not just connecting to Hashem in a simple way, but connecting to the aspect of Hashem that literally gives me my spiritual energy, that gives me the lift that I need, that gives me my inspiration, gives me everything I need. Right? So you'll see, one of the things that we see in this Torah, there's a few places where you see some of the funny, in quotes, hanhagas of Breslovers are explained a little bit over here. Right? So you'll see, you'll hear it a little bit in our shul here if you come on Shabbos, but right in the middle of Shemona Esrei, of the silent Amida, right? You'll hear two things. One of them, Rabbi Yona's doing over here, is a little bit of clapping is one thing, which is tremendously deep. It seems just like someone's being a weirdo, but really, it's a very, very deep concept. But the other thing that you'll hear people doing right in the middle of Shemona Esrei is exactly this: a big, right?
So, what part is it?
Any part, yeah.
Any part.
Whenever a person feels the need to do it, and so too, you may find yourself throughout the day. It doesn't have to be during the middle of your davening. Throughout your day, when you're facing something, and as we know, we were just speaking earlier, everyone is facing something. Everyone is struggling with something. Things are difficult, right? That's the way it's supposed to be. And when we face those things, and we have now an opportunity, instead of just being frustrated, instead of just being angry, I can think about the Ribono Shel Olam. I can think about Hashem giving me all of my energy, giving the whole world all of its energy, and I can breathe in the Ruach Chaim from Hashem. And it's not just me being frustrated. It's me really drawing in energy from Hashem on a higher level. Bezos Hashem. So, did we just finish up to Ois Beis? I think so. Yeah? Yeah. Very good. Okay. So let's move on. Because we're going to get deeper and deeper in this. Remember, everybody should remember, we say this every so often, that learning Likuei Moharan is not just I come to hear one nice thing and I leave and I'm like, oh, I heard a nice thing, right? Likuei Moharan is deep and it's complicated, and the way that Rabbi Nachman structures these Torahs is it's one point is building on another, and things are getting deeper. And as we bring more things, they become more connected. And the more we connect these things, the more the idea gets deeper and deeper and all-encompassing, right? So we're just at the very, very, very beginning of this idea. Everybody keep this in your mind, and let's move forward now and try and uncover a few more layers. So it says like this: Ois Beis. Ach, me'ayin mekablin haruach chaim. That's where we are, right? Yeah, that's where we are. Yeah. Me'ayin mekablin haruach chaim. Where do we receive this ruach chaim from? How do we get this? You should know. She'ikar haruach chaim mekablin mehatzadik v'harav shebador. We have to know that the main ruach chaim that we are able to connect to and receive, we receive from the tzaddik hador, the tzaddik of the generation, tremendously holy person. Now you'll notice here that Rabbi Nachman said tzaddik v'harav shebador, the tzaddik and the rav of the generation. We're going to see in the next Ois Daled why he used the term rav here. It's going to just hold on to your socks for that one.
Two different people?
Same person. Yeah. And we'll see why he used that term. Ki ikar ruach chaim hu behaTorah. The main aspect of ruach chaim, of this breath of life from Hashem, comes through the Torah. Kamosh Kasuv, like the Torah says, v'ruach Elokim merachefes al panei hamayim. The ruach Elokim, the spirit of Elokim, was merachefes, was hovering al panei hamayim, over the face of the waters. And everybody knows, we've seen it so many times. Welcome. We've seen it in the Gemara. The Mishnah even says it. Everybody talks about what is Mayim referring to. Mayim ein Mayim ela Torah. Mayim is referring to Torah. So the Ruach Elokim, merachefes al panei hamayim, the Ruach of Elokim, the Ruach of Hashem, this life breath, wind of Hashem, is hovering over the Torah and is connected to the Torah. Vatzadikim, devekim b'Torah, and the tzadikim are the ones who are connected on an intrinsic level to the Torah. Valkein ikra ruach chaim hu etzlam. Therefore, the main ruach chaim is connected to, is found by these tremendous tzadikim. Ukeshu makushar latzadik v'rav shebador. And when a person is makushar, is very connected to the tzaddik and rav of the generation. When this person now breathes in and makes this krechtz, this sigh, I don't have to translate krechtz anymore, right? We can all agree it's the best word to use for this. When a person breathes in and makes this krechtz, and he extends his breathing in, Mamshich ruach chaim mehatzadik shebador. He pulls in, draws into a person this ruach chaim, this life-giving breath, spiritual energy from the tzaddik shebador. Shehu davuk ba'Torah asher sham haruach. That because the tzaddik is connected to the Torah, clinging, mamish, part of the Torah, and that's where the ruach is to be found. So we just added another level to this. We understood how Hashem created all of the existence with his ruach, with ruach piv, with the breath of his mouth, whatever that means, the non-physical breath of his non-physical mouth. He created the world like this. And we saw that when he created Adam HaRishon, he blew from deep within himself the neshama into Adam HaRishon, right? Ruach Chaim, again, ruach. And we see that everything is called, all of every living creation in the world is called Kol Asher Yesh Bo Ruach Chaim. Anything that has Ruach Chaim in it, right? And so that all comes from Hashem. But now we're adding another step to this, which is so very important. And really, I got a lot to say about this, and I could probably finish the shiur with this, but we'll see how far we get. There's another step, and that is, we can't just get it directly from Hashem. We need to connect to holy tzaddikim in order to really receive this. And, it's one of these things that's so funny, because if a person, first of all, this is a controversial topic, right? Like, you got to have an intermediary, it sounds like, between you and Hashem. That's what it sounds like, right? And a lot of people bristle when we talk about these things. And Baruch Hashem, we talk about them a lot. And we've given long explanations about these things before as well. But let's get into it a tiny bit, just to flush it out a little bit more. But it's very interesting that there's a whole segment of the Jewish population out there, religious or not religious, who really bristle at this idea that you have to connect to a tzaddik. You have to be connected to tzaddikim on a deep level, right? And I think we have to blame the difficult events in history. We have to blame, other religions. We have to blame, in the most part, the incident of Shabbatai Tzvi, who was a false messiah in the, I believe, 1600s, something like that. Reb Beryl Wein, who's a famous rabbi historian, right? He actually said that Shabbatai Tzvi is the worst tragedy that ever happened to the Jewish people. Shabbatai Tzvi was a person who was very, very charismatic and very, very smart and very learned, and who developed a very big following and got on a very high spiritual level, let's say, and made a tremendous destruction because of this. Got to a high level with a lot of followers, and then totally led them off in the worst possible direction. And he considered himself to be the Messiah, the Mashiach. And so because of this, he thought that there was a new existence where now the Torah laws didn't apply anymore. So they started doing things like eating pork on purpose, right? To do it, called doing an Averu Lishma. They started having funny physical relationships because they thought they were in a post-Messianic era already. And many of these things didn't apply anymore, which is true, the way it's supposed to happen. And then he went totally off the derech and he converted to Islam, and there was a huge mapala, a huge falling away. Many people went totally off from Yiddishkeit. Many people followed him to Islam. Many people were just disillusioned, and
He was threatened with death if he didn't. So
okay.
that's what he chose it.
Okay. There's a great story about it's brought down about the Baal Shem Tov going into to Gehenna to try and pull him out. And long story short, I won't tell the whole story right now, but he was not able to, and the Baal Shem Tov was not able to pull him out of Gehenna. Even the Baal Shem Tov was not able to.
You would know why? Like specifically why?
I don't think so. I mean, oh, for sure I don't. But there's a lesson to be learned in that story, which
When Mashiach comes,
I think we'll say another time.
when Mashiach comes, will he be pulled out of Gehenna?
Not sure.
Stopped eating pork.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, there is precedent for such a thing. We do see that afterwards, Korach is going to become a tzaddik. Korach is going to do full tshuva and is going to become a tzaddik. We say this pasuk every Friday night. Tzaddik tamar yifrach, right? That's tzaddik, like a date palm, will sprout forth, right? So the last three letters of those words are Korach, and the Zohar tells us of that's the Tikkun Zohar. One of those, I can't remember which one it is, tells us that's referring specifically to Korach. That afterwards, at the end, when Mashiach comes, that Korach is going to make a big tikkun with Moshe Rabbeinu, and is going to become a tzaddik again. Tzaddik katamar yifrach, Korach. So, what about Shabbat Tzvi? I don't know. However, why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about this? What?
Talking about the concept of connecting to the side.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Why was it the biggest tragedy? Yeah.
Why some people can't
Right.
found an intermediary.
So why was this the biggest tragedy? Because this totally derailed Pnimius HaTorah, totally derailed Kabbalah, and it caused a gigantic population of the religious Jewish world to put a wall up and say, no more Zohar, no more Kisvei Arizal, no more of this Kabbalah, no more of this deep Torah, because we don't want this to happen again. And until today, there is a huge segment of the Jewish population that do not ever learn Kabbalah or do not learn Hasidus at all, and still are standing up against it. Happens to be, I feel very strongly that things are changing, and that world is starting to, the worlds are starting to kind of come together, and things are changing, Baruch Hashem. But these concepts are so clear if you would learn the Zohar. The concept of tzaddik yesod olam, of tzaddik hador, are so obvious and so clear in the deeper Torah. And you go to a big yeshiva anywhere, right? You're going to see they have a Zohar in the yeshiva. They don't disagree with it. If you open up the Mishnah Brura, which is our main, one of the main halachic works, right? You'll open up, he'll be quoting the Kavanas of the Arizal all the time, right? So you see that no one disagrees with it, but just people don't know it. People don't learn it, and they don't know it. And the Zohar says the most clear things. The Zohar tells us that the tzaddik yesod olam is called the tzaddik yesod olam, which means the tzaddik who's the foundation of the world, because that tzaddik stands in the tzinor, the pipeline, where all of the shefa of the entire world comes down. The Zohar says this very, very clearly. The Zohar says in Parshas Pekudei that when a person prays, when a person davens, that a tzaddik that they are connected to, that their prayer goes up to that tzaddik, and that tzaddik has to take it up to the Moshe Rabbeinu of the generation, who then takes that prayer, and that prayer is a brick to build the Beis Hamikdash, the Mishkan, which exists in the upper worlds, and it's part of building the proper structure to connect to Hashem on the deepest level. And when that Beis Hamikdash is built up there, it gets built down here. The Zohar says this very clearly. You understand? It's a very, very clear concept. So many people have a very big problem with Breslov and Chabad, because Breslov and Chabad are very focused on the greatness of tzaddikim and needing to connect to them and needing to be part of them. With slight differences in the way they look at it. I heard, I haven't seen it yet, that some Lubavitcher wrote a book specifically taking all these complaints that people have and bringing all the sources from these other texts, even like the Gemara, even like the Zohar, deep places, and showing, no, look, don't get mad at us. It says it very clearly. You see? And so there's a reason why people have a problem with this. But you'll hear Rabbi Nachman talking about it over and over again. And you'll see it, if your eyes are open to this, you'll see it throughout all of Jewish history. Right? We needed to have Moshe Rabbeinu. There always has to be a Moshe Rabbeinu. And not only that, when we built the Mishkan, how did it happen? Did everyone, build a little part and you had one guy in charge of that building and one guy in charge of the walls? And one guy, no. Everyone brought their gems and their jewels and their precious items to Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu built the whole entire Mishkan. On a surface level, that's the way that it happened. On a deeper level, that building of the Mishkan, certain kalim, on a deeper level, that building of the Mishkan is building this spiritual structure in the upper worlds. And that is done by this tzaddik who's Bechin of Moshe. What do we say? Do we say, every single morning when we're davening and we're singing the Shiras Hayam, we say, Vayaminu B'Hashem. Do we stop there? We say, Vayaminu B'Hashem uva Moshe Avdoi. And they believed in Hashem and in Moshe, his servant. Right? We always, what happened by Har Sinai? Right? The Torah was given, and the first commandment was given, and what happened to all the Bnei Israel? They all died from the power of the direct revelation from Hashem. And they were brought back to life by malachim, by angels. And then what happened by the second one? The same thing happened. Until they said, okay, we can't do this. Moshe Rabbeinu, you are going to be the tzaddik, you're going to be the one who receives it, and then you will give it to us. This is the way that the structure is. Yeah?
Even, Abraham prayed for others and prayed for Hashem to remember the others, even though if there's only a few righteous people saved.
Right.
It's just Moshe too, prayed for Hashem to show mercy.
Right.
That's why we need the tzaddik.
To others. Yeah.
Because they care about others. The Baal Shem Tov was willing to go reach into Gehenna.
Yep, absolutely. And so you'll see, Rabbi Nachman's Torahs are full with this connection to the tzaddik. And there's nothing, when someone is connected to a tzaddik, to tzaddikim, it does nothing but lift them up, but bring them closer and help us on a spiritual level to connect on a deeper level. So what we're saying now is there's this aspect of ruach chaim, of spiritual energy that Hashem brings into the world. And it's not just everywhere. It's not just like we can grab a hold of it ourselves. It doesn't hit every person equally. We need to get to the right channel to be able to pull it in. And if we don't connect to the right channel, we're not going to pull in that ruach chaim to the right extent. So we need to go to the tzaddik, who is connected to the Torah, which is the source of ruach, and the tzaddik is going to be our source of ruach. That's going to be our pipeline, like the Zohar says, that the tzaddik stands in the pipeline, where all the shefa comes into the world, all of the bounty, all of the spiritual flow comes into the world. Okay, that was my rant for today. Nimtza, ki ikar chiyus kol hadavarim. Oh, we did that already? Yep. V'hanoch, we did that also. Did we finish Tebez? No. Yeah, okay. We're actually way up here. Yeah. Okay. V'zehu, shenikra tzaddik. And this is what the Torah calls the tzaddik in Bamidbar, Chav Zayin. So, like this. When Moshe Rabbeinu was going to transfer over the leadership to Yehoshua, right? What happened over there? First of all, you see that there had to be a Yeshua. It didn't just go, there was Moshe Rabbeinu, and then after that, it was Hefker. And everyone just did their own thing. There's a clear path. It went. Yeshua was the next leader, the next tzaddik. So the pasuk says, "Vayomer Hashem Moshe." Hashem said to Moshe, "Kach lecha es Yehoshua ben Nun." Take to yourself Yehoshua ben Nun. And Rabbeinu says over here, "Ish asher ruach boy," said the pasuk. Not an accident. Who is called the tzaddik? Ish asher ruach boy. The person, the man who has ruach in him. The same word we're saying over and over again. This spiritual energy, this deep spiritual energy that's coming from Hashem. The Torah says, why did you pick Yehoshua to be the next leader, the next tzaddik? Because he had ruach. Ish asher ruach boy. Ish asher ruach boy. V'samachtas yadav alav, and place your hand on him. Give him over to be the next leader. She'edeya, and what does the Torah say over there? She'edeya lahaloich neged ruchoy shel kol echad ve'echad. That's the way Rashi explains it over there. Why is he called Ish Asher Ruach Boy? Because he knows how to contend with the Ruach of each individual person. Ki atzadik mamshich umashlim haruach chaim shel kol echad ve'echad. Because the tzaddik draws down and completes, fulfills the Ruach Chaim, this Ruach of every single individual person. Meaning what? That it's so important. Every individual person is facing a different lack. They're missing something in a different way. Right? And when we say this aspect of chisaron, it means that the thing is incomplete. The thing is not functioning at its proper level. Something is not going in the right way. And to be mashlim that, to complete it, means that it's getting what it needs to exist in its proper spiritual level. So every individual has a different thing that they're lacking, and has a different problem. Not only that, a combination of things that make that person totally unique, right? So, a tzaddik, I've seen this with my own eyes, someone who's really, really in tune on a deep spiritual level, can speak to a person and identify on a level that mere mortals like us can't, exactly what that person needs, and exactly what is going on with that person, and to bring it down and to give it to them in such a way. Ish asher ruach boy, Rashi translates, Rashi says that he knew how to deal with the ruach of every single individual. This is what a tzaddik is. This is what a leader is. This is why we need to connect to such a person. And somewhere over here, the Reb Chaim Kramer brings down the reason why it's so important to stay away from bad people. Bad people who try to assume a position of leadership, right? Like false tzaddikim, who, I've heard crazy stories. I heard a story recently about a very close friend of mine who I found out in the past was swindled by a false Kabbalist who promised him that if he would give him $5,000, his whole life would be fixed. And he'd get married, and this would happen, and he had all these stories and miracle and everything. And anyway, long story short, this person, this so-called Kabbalist tzaddik, after a few months in our city, fled and went on to the next city and was not to be heard of again. And these type of people are out there. And when a person, just like, think about the depths of your own soul and the difficulties we face. Imagine you're facing a painful difficulty and you go to a person and they're trying to fill you up with the wrong stuff, with negativity, with stuff that's coming from the wrong path, right? What's that going to do to you? It's being mashlim you, it's filling you up. There's a hole in you and it's filling it up with terrible stuff. It's going to put you down a terrible path. It's very, very important that we're always looking to try to connect to the right people. And we know what those people are. Rabbi Nachman tells us over and over again, first and foremost, they have to be humble. They have to be humble. They have to be able to receive from Hashem. And they have to have chesed. They have to have the chesed of Avram Avinu. Right? This is what Rabbi Nachman tells us. And if we're looking towards leaders who are egotistical and who like to use their authority over people, right? Then we have to be careful, because we're pulling into ourselves from them. In the last Torah, do you remember what we said about this? Mm-hmm. Advice is like from the snake. Advice is like seed that impregnates us and grows within us. And if we're going to a person who comes from the wrong side, meaning the evil side, we're bringing something into us and allowing it to grow and allowing it to become part of us. Here we're seeing that this ruach is filling us up. And we have a space that needs to be filled with kedusha, and it's going to be filled with the opposite. Chas v'shalom. We have to be very, very, very careful. Very careful. Rant number 2. Okay. V'zeh bechinas ruach tzafoinis hamenasheves bekinor shel David. And this is an aspect we see. Oh, beautiful. David HaMelech is going to come a lot through this Torah. So the Gemara says in the Daf Hayomi from 2 days ago that Ruach Tzafonis HaMenasheves Bekinor Shel David, that there was a north wind, Ruach, once again the word Ruach, Tzafonis, north wind that blew right at midnight, and it blew through David's harp, right, the Kinor Shel David, and it made a noise, and that woke him up, right at Chatzos so he could do the important spiritual work that starts at that time. Tikkun Chatzos, cry out to Hashem. Ki kinor shel David haya shel chamesh nimin. Because the kinor of David, the harp of David, had 5 strings. Did it have 5 strings? Because that's just, what was cool at that time? And it sounded in a particular way? Maybe, but also, it's keneged the Chamusha Chumshei Torah. It's keneged the 5 books of the Torah, the 5 aspects of Torah. That harp represents Torah. The Ruach Tzafon and north wind, Shaisa Menasheves Boy, Hu Bechinas V'Ruach Elokim Merachefes Al Panei Hamayim, is this aspect of the Ruach Elokim, the wind, the breath, the life breath of Hashem that was hovering over the water, the Torah. The harp, which has 5 strings, represents Torah, and the wind that blew it represents the Ruach of Hashem, just like the Ruach in the creation, Ruach Elokim Merachefes Al Panei Hamayim, that Ruach is connected to the Torah through the water, Ein Hamayim El Torah. So too over here, the wind that blew, which is the Ruach, through the 5-string harp, which represents the Torah. Ki Ruach Tzafon hu bechinas Ruach Tzafon belibo shel Adam. Tzafun belibo shel Adam, because Ruach Tzafon. What is with the north wind? Why did it have to be the north wind? It's an aspect of the Ruach HaTzafun belibo shel Adam. It's this Ruach that is hidden in the heart of every person. Private, hidden inside the heart of every person. Shu bechinas Ruach HaChaim, which is the Ruach HaChaim, which is this spiritual life force, spiritual and physical life force. Ki Tzafon chaser. There's a concept that Tzafon, the north, is lacking. So, the Mefarshim explain, the Gemara explains this, that if anyone knows, I don't know if it's called astronomy when it's about the world, I don't know. Anyway, the way the earth tilts, there's always a little bit less sun to the north. So, in that sense, it's called that the north is lacking. So what does that mean on a deeper level? So Tzafon, north, which also means Tzafun, which means hidden. Right? Tzafon and Tzafun. This wind was a north wind, was a Tzafon wind. But it's referring to the Ruach HaTzafun, the hidden wind that's in the heart of the Ruach that's in the heart of every person. And it's lacking. What does that mean? It's lacking. The lacking is in the heart. Tillim says that Hashem will give to us all the desires of our hearts. Yamali Hashem, Kol Mishal Hashem will fill up all of our desires. But where's the desire? Where's the lack? Where do we feel it? Libecha, in our heart. That's where we feel it. And Hashem will fill that in. The Ikar Haruach HaChaim Hu Balev, the main place of our existence where we feel the lack is in our heart. Like it says in the Tikkun Zohar. Kul hay shaifin misnahagin basar libab kamalka. All of our limbs and our organs follow the leadership, I guess, of the heart, which is the king. The heart is the king. Kamadat Amar, like people say, or like it says in Yecheskel, El asher yiyes shama haruach laleches, wherever the ruach intended him to go. That's what it says in the pasuk in Yecheskel. Meaning, the ruach of our heart is what guides us. Ki haruach hu balev, because the ruach is in the heart. V'achisaron hu histalkus haruach shemakom balev. And when we feel a chisaron, when we feel something missing, when we're experiencing this lack, it's because that ruach that was in our leiv, was in our heart, is missing. V'alkein nirgash chisaron balev. That's why we feel it in our hearts. Menachem is saying 2 things here. There's a reason why in all languages, right, the pain, when we have pain, we talk about our hearts, right? My heart was aching. I'm heartbroken, right? Whenever I'm missing something, whenever I'm lacking something, and something's going really wrong, I feel it in my heart. It's built into nature. Once again, could be also it's connected to when we have high levels of stress and worry, and what happens? God forbid, it affects the heart. The heart is the place where we feel the lack. That's the place where when we're filled with Ruach Chaim, right? When we're mamish in a great place and we're connecting and everything's flowing, we feel great. But when something goes wrong and that Ruach is taken away from our heart, we feel it's missing. And that's when that's where we feel the chisaron. Therefore, when that lack is fulfilled, is replaced, right? What does the pasuk say? Then we say that Hashem will fill the desires of your heart, because your heart is where you feel it. Therefore, we who receive our Ruach Chaim, we receive this spiritual energy, spiritual breath of life from the Torah, Nikraim al Shem Tzafoin. We are called by the name Tzafoin, which means north or hidden, as we say. How do we see this? Like the pasuk says in Tehillim. You ready for this? Al amacha yarimu soid vayisyatsu al tzufunecha. Against your nation, they are plotting a secret plot, and they're taking up counsel against your tzufunecha, your hidden ones. We are called tzufunecha. We are called the hidden ones of Hashem. Why are we called the hidden ones of Hashem? Why? Because this Ruach Chaim that we connect to, that we receive from Hashem, goes into our hearts where it's hidden, and no one sees it, right? It's a deep connection that we have through Torah, through tzaddikim, through connecting to Hashem in this way, and it enlivens us. And if we don't have it, we're facing tremendous lack. Then we feel it, and we feel heartbroken. We feel like something's missing, and we have to take in the breath, and we have to make a krechtz. We have to do this with kavanah and connect to Hashem on a deep level. You may ask, and we'll finish with this. I'm not going to read anymore. But you may ask, the very next thing that we're going to see is, what about Rishayim? What about not so savory people who seem to be doing great? Right? They seem to be doing great. And they got money, and they got, jobs, I don't know, whatever. They have happiness, they got a house, they got everything. It seems to be going swimmingly for them. Right? How could it be? Should I leave this as a cliffhanger? It's a great cliffhanger. Maybe we should do it. Anyway, we're going to see at the very beginning of next week's shiur that that's exactly what happens. They get inflated and inflated and inflated, and I'll let you imagine what's going to happen, and what's going to happen to that inflation, and how that ruach is like a big balloon, and you can imagine what's going to happen. But the takeaway for today, right, in this Torah, is we have homework. We have a job for us all to do, and that is in the coming week. Maybe everyone's week is just going to be totally perfect, Bezras Hashem, and no one is going to feel. Everyone's laughing. That's funny. No one is going to feel the need to make a krechtz, to sigh. No one's going to face a situation where they're just like. Maybe it's not going to happen to anybody, but just in case it does, let's try our best to have in mind. And if we don't have in mind the first time, let's at least have awareness of it so we can do it the next time. Let's take in that breath, and when we take in that breath, realize that we're connecting on a deep level to Hashem, and that breath that we're breathing in is the same ruach that created the world, is the same ruach that created Adam HaRishon, is the same ruach that gives life force to everything. And when we breathe in this way and let out a nice krechtz, right, we are asking Hashem, I'm missing something. I need you to help me. I need you to fill in what I'm lacking. That's why I'm breathing in like this. Let's realize it. Chabarai, and have some extra kavanah and connect on a deep level, you hear? And if we can, the more we can do it, the more we can realize that why are we hearing these words right now? Why are we all here? Right?
Help us
Absolutely.
with the week.
For sure. For sure. We all need it. But why are we all here right now? This is a good question.
To try and connect
For sure.
This couch is just starting.
But what?
To connect this starting.
Very good.
yes.
We could be at another shiur somewhere else. We could be, who knows, why are we here? We're here because of Rabbi Nachman. Because Rabbi Nachman gave us this totally amazing Torah that every single time gives us some kind of amazing practical thing that I can do in my life. Whether you like it or not, whether you realize it or not, we're here because we're connecting to a tremendous tzaddik. right? And that Ruach Chaim that we're getting is coming through Rabbi Nachman, whether we realize it or not. Baruch Hashem. So when we have this krechtz this week, let's think about it. Let's say thank you, Hashem, for giving me everything I need and filling up my lacking. Thank you for connecting me to this tzaddik. And Bezos Hashem, we'll see what's going to happen with the cliffhanger next week. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, so we can connect to a tzaddik. So
Yeah.
it doesn't talk about a tzaddik that's like Rabbi Nachman that's passed away.
Yeah.
But a tzaddik now. So how we connect the two?
Who said he's talking about that?
I'm not
Yeah. So this is a long conversation, but let's give a very brief answer. Basically, I like to give this answer with a Star Wars quote that I've done a few times. But the original Star Wars, by the way, I haven't seen the latest ones. But so when Obi-Wan Kenobi is fighting Darth Vader in the big scene, right? He says to him, "If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine." Right? So the Zohar tells us that when a tzaddik, we said this a few times, this is a great thing to say. When a tzaddik is in this world, so he's always going up and down. He's getting up into very high realms of existence and connection to Hashem, very high levels of perspective, but he can't stay there, right? He has a body. Hashem made us that he has to have a body, so he has to come back down. And he goes up and he comes back down. But he has to come back down. And when a tzaddik passes away, like we've said a few times, but when Rabbi Nachman at the end of his life, he said, "I can't go any farther in my body." And he said, "It's time, I need to take off my coat. I need to remove my garment, my levush, and I have to go on." So in this sense, once again, it's really the ABCs of deeper Torah and of the Zohar and the Tikkunei Zohar and all these places, that when a person passes on, they're less bound, and a tzaddik like this has more ability to connect to people and help them, and it's definitely not a lack that a tzaddik is not physically here right now. Having said that, Rabbi Nachman himself said, no matter where a person is, they should always be looking to connect to living tzaddikim, and also to connect to no longer on the planet physically tzaddikim, I guess. So you'll see there's a little pre-prayer thing that many people say, where you say Hareini makasher es atzmi lekol tzaddikim hamitim shebedorenu. I am connecting myself, makasher atzmi, to all the tzaddikim that are in our generation. U lekol tzaddikim hamitim shechnei afar, all the true tzaddikim who are sleeping in the ground. Kadoshim asher ba'aretz hema, the holy ones who are in the ground. And some people specify a certain tzaddikim. You can guess who I specify, right? But meaning what? Yeah, we got to connect to tzaddikim living, but there's certainly nothing weird or wrong about connecting to tzaddikim who are no longer living in the sense that we understand it. Yeah?
So are tzaddikim rabbis? People that are learned, very learned?
Tzaddikim are very learned most of the time, but not all learned people are tzaddikim.
Yeah.
Very, very, very important.
Like I don't know, a rabbi. I don't know, a rabbi?
There are some very, very holy people in the world. There's what?
The Lamed, we don't know who they are. They look like the average Joes.
So Elisheva is pointing out the concept of the Lamed Vav Tzadikim, the 36 hidden Tzadikim that are in any generation. One thing, but then there's tremendous Tzadikim around. Like there's tremendous Tzadikim that are like Balei Moifsim. They make miracles happen. They connect to people on a very deep level. There's many Rebbes, Kabbalists who are in this realm, and it's kedai to go see all of them. Maybe we'll make a list to give out. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Yeah.
One pasuk I saw it differently than you.
Yeah.
With Yeshua, shiur lahaloch neged rucho shel kol echad.
Yes.
The way I see that, you said be careful who you take advice from.
Yeah.
You're saying he helped. I feel like he knew how to protect himself and not get sucked into other people's bad thoughts or.
Very well could be. That very well could be also. Meaning that like a person, there's a.
Neged.
Rabbi Nachman says in another place that our our tefillas that come to a tzaddik, that come through a tzaddik, are really painful for the tzaddik, because the things that like, even obvious things like when we have pain and we're complaining and we're going through difficulties, that makes sense. But even us on our certain level, the way we see things are painful for a tzaddik. Imagine, if you see what some people who are tzaddikim have to deal with, person after person, lineups every single day, and the people lining up are, for the most part, not always the people who are like, wow, I just wanted to come say hi. That's not always the way it goes. It's person after person with something terrible going on, right? And I think it makes sense what you're saying. That's also a way to see this idea. They have to be able to know how to handle the ruach of every person.